for me, entrepreneurship is just so many facets of learning.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. My name is Nancy Moore, and I am the host of this weekly podcast that provides career and creative inspiration to help you build a passionate and purpose-filled life. You'll hear from guests that will help you tap into your creative potential, pursue a career with passion, and build on your biggest and best resource, yourself. I'm excited to have you join this conversation. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get started. Okay, everybody, before we get into this episode, I just wanted to mention my Conversations with Passion and Purpose live podcast event is this Friday. And if you haven't gotten tickets, it is virtually sold out, but I wanted to give you all the date of the next event, which is November 8th. And I always say that this is a great time to come together as women, have some great conversations, and connect, learn, and grow. So you're going to be able to network with outstanding women in the Tulsa community. You'll learn a little bit more about the women who sponsor the event. There's some fun products that are usually a part of that. And just a great time to grow as a person. So I would love to see you there at the next event, and details will be coming soon on that. Okay, so I am very excited about my next guest, Lori Medick. She is the co-owner of 5 Star Painting of Tulsa, and she is absolutely incredible that she owns the business with her husband, Trevor, and Trevor does the estimating and she does the production. And I will tell you why she does the production. She has such a high attention to detail and such a strong work ethic. I know Trevor does as well, but you could call or text her at any point and she has great follow-up and does a very good job. And so I was so happy to be able to talk to Lori and get to know her background a little bit. And we all know it's interesting what a fresh coat of paint can do for a space. It can totally transform it, update it, freshen it up. For me, I had the exterior of my home painted, and it is just still amazing and fabulous. So anyway, I want you to get to know Lori a little bit. It's interesting because on the job, I didn't know about her cool background, but she has an entrepreneurial background. 5 Star Painting of Tulsa is not her first business. So she talks about her background a little bit, and then we weave into all of the different businesses, what she likes about that, kind of how she got interested in becoming an entrepreneur, and then what it's like working in a male-dominated industry. So she shares a little insight into that. And then she has a great team of people working for her. She reminded me who helped me at the time. And because she hires so well, I wanted to get some tips on what she does to hire the people that she has and retain them. And then also at the end, we wrap up with my theme of Grow More in 2024. So you can find out, she actually has a word of the year. You can find out what that word is and how she is utilizing it in 2024. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation with Lori. Okay, Lori Medick, I am so happy to be talking to you today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we got to know each other through a project that was a really big project for me personally, and you've probably seen bigger, but you painted the exterior, well, not you personally, your team painted the exterior of my home, which I have absolutely loved. I've had people stop and come up and ask me the paint color, which is so fun, but you guys did an extremely good job. 5 Star Painting is what you co-own with your husband, Trevor, and you are just a phenomenal person that I've gotten to know during that time, and then we've stayed in contact a little bit, and I've seen you, and then I'm excited to talk to you today.
Great. I'm so happy to be here. And your home is beautiful. So
Thank
it was a pleasure
you.
working with you on your project.
Thank you so much. So I want to talk to you more about you and your background, because I wanted to go into 5-star painting, but you have a really cool background yourself. And so I wanted to pull that out a little bit. So if you'll tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. So one of the things you asked me was how I decided to start 5-star painting. So my husband and I started the business together, but I think it's in my genetics. My dad came to the United States from Amsterdam when he was in his 30s. He was a mason. He didn't speak any English and pedaled around on a bicycle and got work. So he had that in his blood, and I think I got that. So I've always kind of followed the entrepreneur path. When I graduated from college, it was a very roundabout degree. I was 40 when I finally graduated, and my degree was environmental science and sustainability. And I had a whole business plan to start a recycling business. And it was modeled after one I had found in Mexico. And instead of doing that, I opened a clothing boutique with my best friend. And after a couple months, she said it wasn't for her. So I kept the store. And it just became a community gathering place. I kind of wanted it to be a place where people could come not only for shopping, but also meet new friends, maybe promote what they're involved in. So we would have regular events for different nonprofits or causes or just parties. It was just a lot of fun. So it was all about community. It was not as much the clothes, but it was community.
Was that here in Tulsa?
No, it was in Albuquerque.
Okay. That's very cool.
That's where we're from.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Then I'll have to find out then how you got here. So a couple of comments about that. So I absolutely love Amsterdam. It's amazing that your dad even came to the U.S. because that's one of my favorite places to visit. I love Amsterdam.
I still haven't been.
Oh my gosh.
I have 3 sisters, and the 4 of us are going in April.
Okay.
For the first time.
Oh, yeah. You're going to absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Totally incredible. I'm excited for you. That's great. The other thing is you and I both have a heart then for building community.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that about you. That's really, really cool.
I think it's really important. That's, I found like when we first moved here, that was the first thing I had to do was create my own community. We moved here in 2018, and our neighborhood wasn't very connected. And when we moved here, we became like the hub and the spoke. And so all the outlying houses, they got to know each other, even though they'd lived near each other for years. They didn't know each other. So we were the center of that whole wheel, and we would have regular parties. And, that was like my first building community.
Okay. Oh, that's so neat. Yeah. And now I can see that. I could see that about you. So tell me then what brought you here from Albuquerque, and then how you decided to start 5-star. Because out of all you're entrepreneurial, obviously, but, there's a million different businesses you can start, and you decided to start this painting business.
Yeah. So, Trevor and I got married late. We were both over 50 when we got married, and he has a daughter, I have a son, and so, blended family, and they're both adults living independently, and so we thought, we don't need to stay in Albuquerque. So Trevor had an opportunity with a job here, and so at that time I was kind of figuring out my next venture. I had been working with a nonprofit, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and they were kind of shifting with how they were doing things, and so I was looking for what is next. And so I thought, okay, let's find next in Tulsa. So we came out here. Trevor did sales for electrical distribution, all the plugs and wires and not the fun electrical things. And we moved here in 2018, and then we started our business in 2020. So March 1st of 2020 was when we went live. So
seriously, March 1st of 2020? So we all know what happened in March of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our first big event was the Home Builders Trade Show, the really big one they have in March. And We just made some really great connections at that show, and the show got cut off. They stopped halfway through. But, we had some great leads, and Trevor, he does all the estimating, and I do production. And my son, Jack, now works with us. He also does production. Yeah, so it was a great show for us, and then all of a sudden everyone was home, and they wanted their houses done, and there was extra money coming in from the government, and people were tired of looking at walls and projects outside. So we just had some fantastic referrals right from the beginning. And
wow, that's incredible. It ended up being serendipitous for you to have that timing, but I was thinking it was a detriment, and it was absolutely the opposite.
Yes, it was. It was our launching board. It was kind of odd because we were considered a vital business, so we were not limited. So it was definitely a scary time, like for everyone. My mom lived with us at the time, and I was paranoid about, getting her sick because she has COPD, and we were going into these strangers' homes, and it was definitely a stressful time, but it was our launching time. And, stressful for everybody globally. So,
right.
But talking with other painting businesses, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, we were so busy." Mm-hmm. So it was pretty crazy. Crazy.
I'm trying to remember when I met you. Then it was
21, I believe.
Okay, so it was a year into that.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's funny because I called somebody about it was either guttering or roofing or something, and I just happened to mention something about painting, and he said, "Oh, I know a guy." And I said, "Okay." And so anyway, so he ended up giving me 5-star painting, and when I called, Trevor answered and was quick to come over, and that whole process kind of snowballed. But it's interesting, how much of your business is word of mouth, or do you even know?
I don't know like percentages.
Okay.
But there's a lot. We have a very high percentage of referral business.
Yeah, so I would imagine. And repeat business, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we did their interior last year, and
because people see how trustworthy you are and what a good job you do. And I love it. Okay, so something that is passionate and on your heart, I want you to talk a little bit about that. We talked before we were recording about your degree, and you kind of said it's actually, the business I've gone into is just absolutely opposite of the degree that I've earned in many ways. But I wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about that, and then what you're passionate about there.
Okay. So my degree is environmental science and sustainability, and what I've come to realize is painting and building in general, there's a lot of waste, and but in my little corner that I can control is painting. And if anyone has ever had their house painted or done any painting themselves, then it's obvious that it's hard to get rid of the empty paint can or old paint. You move in and you have all these rusty cans in the garage, and we've taken a lot of those, and now they're in my house, in my garage, but they're hard to get rid of because latex paint, you can let it dry out, and then you can throw the dry can into the trash, and it'll go to the landfill.
Which isn't that great either.
No, it's not at all.
Decomposing, I can't even imagine if it's I want to say a million years. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
So that's not a great solution, but it's better than it just getting poured onto the ground, because that's what I've heard of some other painting companies, like some independents. They've just mentioned it flippantly, like, "Oh, we just go pour it out into a field." So, which, other than being illegal, it's just hurts my heart for for our world. So I know that most people want to do things responsibly, But, we're busy. We have a busy life. We're thinking of other things, and sometimes the right thing to do isn't the easiest thing to do, and so it gets very hard to do the right thing because you don't have the time for it. So I want to create a system that is convenient for people to dispose of paint and other paint-related hazardous waste. So I'm in the process of figuring out how to make this happen so that we can all honor our planet a little bit more and take care of the waste that comes with projects.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I definitely love that. And you're in a position because the side that you're seeing with the paint and your background in environmental science, I feel like you're in a good position to figure out a good way to help this problem.
Even if it's like a quarterly event, some big collection, there's like the electronic waste, which is fantastic because, that's the other thing. What do you do with those? That old toaster. So if we do the same thing for paints some of it's flammable, and I don't want people holding on to these chemicals in their house, when they don't know what can happen with them. So there just needs to be a more convenient solution, and that's what I am in the process of working on.
Okay. And then I'll follow up with you because I know you said you're thinking about that now and making some contacts. And so yes. I'll follow up on that for sure. So tell me about entrepreneurship. When you said it's in your blood, from your father, it's not always easy, but I'm wondering what you enjoy about it, what makes it worth it, what has been difficult for you. It's different for everybody.
Right. My first real business was when I started the clothing boutique, and it was the perfect setup. My friend was the accountant, and I was more of the front of the house personality, and so it seemed like it would be a great fit. It was so much work. I'm not afraid of working hard, but it's just it seems like there's a lot of time before there's an actual payoff. And so that was a really big lesson. Like, you really have to know going in that it's going to take a little bit of time, and both time and effort that I wasn't expecting. I thought it would be faster. I'd start seeing some results faster. So that was kind of the opposite of 5-star painting because of what was happening in the world when we started. So we started off super busy, but the effort was definitely not any less. It was more, because it just doesn't stop. And so I think for me, entrepreneurship is just so many facets of learning. I feel like I'm a sparkler and I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going to focus sometimes because there are just so many things coming and going all the time. And I'm not very good at putting the sparkler in the bucket of water to make it just go away for a little while. My brain just goes at 2 a.m. and I'm thinking about, oh gosh, that baseboard transition is not going to look good right there. And it's 2 a.m. No, the homeowner isn't thinking about their baseboards, but I am. And so that's where I want to grow, is being able to just turn off for a little while. But when it's your own business, and I don't know how to turn that off. So I want the baseboard transition to look great.
And and that's why you're so good too. We were talking because I didn't have to worry about anything for the first time we've ever had painters here because you were the one. You took that from me, and because you have the good eye, you have, you're very, I say, meticulous and detail oriented, and you were thinking of things before that was on my radar. And so I even remember, Lori, the last day after everything was done, you said, okay, let's do one more walkthrough or walk around. And, what do you see? And I saw a few things, and you had the guy right there with you taking care of it. And it was like that then kind of completed the whole thing, but it was like there was just nothing for me to worry about. So now I'm seeing that you're the one thinking about it. But and it's appreciated as a client, and I don't want that for you, but it's so appreciated. I do want to transition because you are a female in a male-dominated industry, and that's one of the other reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because I want to kind of get your perspective on that. I think you might be the only female-owned painting company in Tulsa. Are you?
No, there were a couple others.
Okay.
It's definitely interesting.
Okay.
And the energy when I'm asking a question about a particular paint, the people who work at Sherwin-Williams, they're not just people who work there. They're friends now. I have great rapport with them, and they're the experts on things. And I mean, they're two different stores are on my speed dial because I call them all the time for things, and every situation is different. And so I really appreciate that. I think in the beginning it was kind of, here she is, she doesn't really know anything. But now, I pay attention, and it's an interesting dynamic being in there with other male painting companies. Because oftentimes I'll ask, hey, I need a gallon of emerald urethane. Do you have the base for that? And then this other, painter will start trying to tell me about what I should or shouldn't use emerald urethane for. I'm like, well, thank you very much for your input. I have this, And so it's a little bit of that. Sometimes I have a little fun and I'll question what they're using certain products for, and, just because I know.
Yeah.
And so, so I have a little fun back, just like they do for me. But
yeah.
We have female painters on our crews, and I love them. They are fun to work with. We have a completely different rapport than I have with our male painters. And I think there's a different energy, too, with them working for me as a woman. And I had to earn their respect, but I've earned it, and they know I'm fair.
So one of the things that, because you are great with clients, or you were great with me, but you mentioned one of the things that you really enjoy about your role at 5-Star is the working with clients and the people. So tell me a little bit, because it's really, you come in an interesting way. It's not like it's a dinner party. It's like, it's different. And you go into their space. And so if you'll kind of talk to me a little bit about the client side.
I feel like it's a huge blessing and a privilege because I'm trusted to go into their home. This is their sacred space. A lot of people don't even think about their, this is their space. We've had clients who, one particular one I think of, she had a very beautiful wedding ring, and she left it all over the place. And so I would walk in every morning. My challenge at that time was to go find her ring and give it to her, because who knows, it could fall in a sink, something could happen, and I wanted to make sure, here's your ring. And so she was amazed every time, like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I wouldn't have even known where I had lost my ring. And later in the project, she had a lot of jewelry, and so there was just left around. And I always gave it to her, and just, she's like, I so appreciate your trustworthiness. And, that's the thing. All of our crews, I would trust them in my house. I would have them stay there if they needed to. They're, like I said, they're an extension of us. And so coming in is a blessing, that I'm a trustworthy person, and I have to also trust this person. And so it's an interesting, week or two of a relationship you have with someone that's built on trust,
Yes.
And if that gets broken because of whatever random thing happens, because stuff happens in houses, you discover you're painting over wallpaper, and so the paint is bubbling, and why didn't you know this? Then that's a frustration, because it's an extension of a project that wasn't planned for, and so there has to be the trust that we didn't go into it trying to increase the job, or just things like that. But yeah, I love working with our people. I would say there have maybe been 5% of all of our clients who I was happy to be finished with their project. But most of my friends here in Tulsa are our clients.
Yes.
We just my circle has been built by clients.
Yeah.
So
that's so neat. Yeah, I can see that. So you talk about the people that you're working with being an extension of you, the team, the painters. And so I'm wondering how you find such good people, because there was a really good team, and I can't even remember, but there was a really good team that worked on my house. So you somehow, I don't know if you pay them extra well, or you vet them, or you ask certain questions, or what. Tell me how you find these great people to be on your team.
So you had Walter.
Okay, that's right. That's right. I did.
Yes. So it's very interesting for as many painters as there are, just even staying within Tulsa, not going Broken Arrow or Bixby. They're all kind of connected, and they know each other. And interviewing different painting crews, and it kind of starts. We usually meet at a Sherwin-Williams, and where it's a safe space, and I ask about their equipment, what's their skill set. Everyone says I've been a painter for 20 years, even if they're maybe like 3 years old. They're 23, they're like, I've been a painter 20 years. But there's such a gut feeling about people, and I always imagine, like, would I want this person in my home? So I feel like there's 3 different classifications for painters, and it's just an energetic thing for me and who I want to be my extension. But there's the interior painters, exterior painters, and commercial painters. And of course there can be crossover, but there are some that are definitely like an excellent painter, but he or she is going to go to the commercial side. And so I think that's kind of it, like for skill set, asking that. But the other thing is, I always ask, what do you like to paint? Oh, I paint everything. I paint cabinets, walls, I do wood, and they all have like the same answer of what they do. But I just keep probing, like, okay, so of all those things that you can paint, what do you like to paint? And that kind of gives a little bit of an answer to their level of detail. Like, are they thinking about what they're painting? Are they just putting some paint on the wall and moving on? If it's someone who says, oh, I really like to do cabinets. Well, cabinets, if they're done well, are a labor-intensive project. And so that says something about them. They like to do cabinets. They pay more attention to detail. But if there's someone who's like, oh, I just love to roll walls, well, then that'd be a great commercial painter, because they're going to be fast with that. So it's kind of an indirect interview.
I'm glad that you think also down, if you hire them, then you know what they do like to paint, because if they could probably paint all day if they're doing their thing that they enjoy.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. That's the secret sauce. I like that. Okay.
And there's some who are just really great preppers, and that is a skill in and of itself, because that's the other thing. There are preppers and painters, and so the prepper, oh my gosh, you really want good preppers on a crew, because I don't know if you've ever had to clean up any paint mess, but for improper prepping, just a good prepper is super important. And so having someone who is like, oh, I don't mind, prepping baseboards and floors, and you just don't really think about those things, or I never did before. And now for one crew I have, it's 2 women, and one of them is a super detail painter, and the other one is the fastest prepper. And so she starts and gets going So, so it's kind of it's an interesting dynamic because they have their own little dance, and I love working with them.
Okay. So you've mentioned, I love that. So you mentioned a few things. You've mentioned interior, exterior, commercial. So just tell us more about what 5 Star Paint offers.
Well, we do interior and exterior for both commercial and residential.
Okay.
We can do drywall. We can do wood repair. We can replace siding. We're not going to frame out a room or something like to build on, but we replace existing siding or existing wood.
I'm glad you're saying all that because there's so many pieces sometimes that people have to take care of prior to even picking the paint color, and you're able to get all of that done. And do you still have somebody that helps with the consulting of the paint color?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because that was one of my favorite parts.
Yes.
When she came and showed me all these different things that she had, and we were outside, and she came at a couple of different times, I think, in different light, and left me with some things to think about, and it just helped me so much.
Yes.
So, but anyway, that is great that you have all of that process in place to where if somebody needs their window repaired, or whatever fixed, and then the paint starting, you can handle all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's awesome. So I might just ask then, in wrapping up, should I say? I think you've said it, but what distinguishes you from your competitors?
I think it's really how we manage our jobs. Trevor is very good when he goes out and does estimates. I mean, there's sometimes, people have called us, I need my cabinets painted. And he's told them, well, no, really, you don't. If you just paint this wall right here, then your cabinets are going to look great. So, I think there's a real honesty to estimating, and Trevor's very good at that. He really takes his time to make sure the customer is being well taken care of, but there's not a lot of extra, Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to project management, it's communication. Like I said, there's a trust this relationship for the project is built on trust. And if I'm not communicating or, Jack is not communicating, then that trust can get broken. Mm-hmm. And so I communicate probably more than they expect, but it's their home or their business, because it's both ways. And so there's a lot of communication where they're on the job, and our job is to make it so that our clients don't have to communicate with the painters, that painters can just do their work and get finished more quickly, and any questions come to us to be taken care of. So.
I love that your son has joined the team, because I haven't met him yet.
No, he just moved here last March.
Okay.
So it's great. He's 28, and I haven't lived in the same city with him for like 9 years. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
He left as a teenager, and now he's a man. It's so odd.
Oh, that's neat. That's what they do.
I know.
That's what we hope they do. Yeah. They grow up.
Exactly.
Yes. So my last question would be, before I have you share your contact information, is I have a theme of grow more in 2024 for my podcast. And so I'm just wondering how you're growing, either personally or professionally.
So first off, what's really funny is I always come up with a word in January. My word for 24 is more. So it's more in 24. So I read that and I was like, did I tell Nancy that? So I think that's really great. So I've been thinking about more this year since January.
How cool.
So
like to like for more, just abundance, for better health, for what's more to you? What's more?
So what means more to me for more in 24 is honoring the things that are so important to me. So this project of paint disposal, that's huge for me, and I really want that to get some legs for, realistically, maybe one event in the fall, but I don't know for sure, going into the beginning of next year. I've been working on that for a little while. But also learning about different kinds of processes and for paint application, because there's some really cool things out there. And we just did one at a house. We are wrapping up right now with this whole finish on this wall that was a first for us. And it was really great. It was just so fun. So I want to keep expanding and meeting new people, creating new communities, adding to my current community, and finding a way to have more off time. So
good.
Just finding a way to put, what is it when you, 4th of July, you put the sparkler in the bucket of water?
Yes.
I need to do that somehow, and I just haven't figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Just because that, I think that helps with, I don't know if I should say self-care, but just replenishing yourself a little bit so you're not, so, well, you don't seem burned out though. I mean, you're amazing. But yeah, it's important for you to have some time to yourself and with your family. And
yes.
So shut it off. When you own your own business, it's hard to shut it off.
It is. Even, so one of the things that I was doing when we first came to Tulsa was making paper. And so I would do a lot of different things making paper. And so there's a certain relaxation to having the pulp in the bucket and just pulling sheets of paper. There's just like a zen flow to that. And I so want to have that space to just go make some paper.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm going to make paper.
Okay.
But,
I want that for you too. And I almost want to help you with that because I want to learn. I love paper products and stationery and cards, and I love all of that.
That'd be fun.
Anyway.
You'll have to come to my studio.
Okay. Yeah, I would love that. Okay. Yeah. Well, tell people how they can find 5 Star Painting.
So the best way is to just call Trevor directly, and his number is 918-500-5788. And obviously there's also the website 5starpainting.com/Tulsa.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. That's great. I appreciate your time. And I will be following up with you because I want to find out more about the environmental side of helping get rid of the paint in a good way. Because I think that's important. So anyway, and then when we get off, I have a project I'm going to ask you about.
Oh, fantastic.
We'll wrap up. But thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you being here. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are at Sharing Passion and Purpose, and Twitter is at Passion Sharing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.